Hi, it's Colleen and welcome to the WOW YouTube channel. This month, the WOW design team is focusing on sparkles. Today I'm going to show you how to add shine to your cards using sparkles, and also I'm going to show you 2 ways to use these gorgeous glitters. I'm so glad you joined us today. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another video from WOW. So these are the sparkles that I have in my stash, and WOW has an entire line of these. Basically what these are is glitter. This is actually pure glitter. And there are 2 ways, well there's more than 2 ways, but I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can use this glitter that is virtually mess-free. So let's talk about the first way you can use these sparkles. Now I know that when you hear the word glitter, you can think, gosh, no, it's messy. But I'm going to show you a way that you can use them that's very clean and very easy. Marian Emberson shared this with us, and Marian is part of the design team for WOW, and she does many other things for WOW too. But you take double-sided adhesive like I'm doing here. It comes in many different sizes, this adhesive. You can get an entire sheet of adhesive, or you can use strips like I'm using here. And basically what I'm going to do is I am going to apply the sparkles directly over this adhesive. So what you do is basically you have to remove the strips, so you've got that little sticky surface, and then you add your sparkles right over that sticky surface like you're going to see me do here. Now I don't prep it with my embossing buddy here because this doesn't work the same as your embossing powder works. This is glitter, and if you're familiar with glitter, glitter works differently. You can't heat emboss this by itself. So if you apply it to double-sided tape like this, you can get the same look that you could get with embossing powders. And like I mentioned before, the double-sided adhesive, if you buy them like in the strips that I have here, I think you can get them in 1-inch size and 2.5-inch size, and you can put glitter on an entire card panel if you want to. Or you can use the little strips like I have here, and you can just add them and create all kinds of designs, and then do what I'm doing here, which is one at a time. I am removing the adhesive or the backing off the adhesive and then applying the glitter. Now, when you're working with one color of the sparkles, you don't need to do this, but when you're working with several colors like I am, you want to tear off one strip at a time, or you're going to get glitter where you don't want the glitter, because that glitter will adhere to that double-sided tape, as you can see there. And the thing that's cool about this is it really stays on. It's not messy at all, you guys, and I am not a fan of glitter, so I really appreciate this technique. And you can add a sealant over that when you mail it, just to ensure that it doesn't get all over the place. But look at how nice that looks just like embossing powder. Now let's talk about the second way that you can use your sparkles, and that is to mix it with your embossing powder and heat dry it. And I'm just showing you the tools that you need here, which is, if you're going to mix them, you need an empty WOW embossing container, and you need that metal spoon. And the reason we use those is so that you don't get static in the container. So you want to protect the embossing powder. And all I'm doing is mixing the glitters with my embossing powders. And what I've done is I've chosen some of the solid color embossing powders, the opaques that don't have glitter in them, and I am adding different colors of the sparkles in there, and then I shake it and mix it together, and look what you come up with, a completely different color. And you can use this and heat emboss it like you would normally use with your embossing powder. So there's 2 ways to use your glitters. And now we're going to go and make a card. So I'm using a stamp by a good friend of mine, Amber, and it's called Fir Branch. And I am using Catherine Puller's inks in Eucalyptus and Green Tea, and then I'm using Earthtone Olive, Primary Chartreuse, embossing powders as well as two of the sparkles, the black and the gold. And I'm actually mixing all of those into one container. So the first step here is I'm wanting to create layers with this gorgeous fir branch. And this is a big stamp, so it's easy to do this technique because you can move that stamp around so that you get natural layers. And what I do is I start with the lightest ink and stamp that first, and then I move to darker colors after that. And the last color is going to end up being that mixture of sparkles and embossing powder. I like the colors that I'm using here, all these really beautiful shades of green that remind me of Christmas time and evergreen trees and all of the scents and smells that come along with that holiday. I don't know, I think I'm ready for Christmas now, and we're only in August. Is that weird? I'm just getting into it this year. So I have my first two layers done, and the next step I want to do is some ink blending because I want to add a little color in that background and tone down the stark white that you see here. I'm going to leave a little bit of white, but I'm just going to tone it down and do a little ink blending with those same two Catherine Pooler ink colors. So with your sparkles, they come in so many different colors. And again, don't be intimidated when you hear the word glitter, because if you use them the way I showed you to use them, you won't have a big mess on your hands. It will work really, really well, and the glitter won't be a nightmare like some of you may have experienced. Some of you may love glitter, and so these sparkles will be right up your alley. Now I'm grabbing my heat tool and I'm putting it on the lowest setting. WOW has a heat tool that is dual setting, and I just want to dry this ink before I add my embossing powder so that the embossing powder does not stick where I don't want it to stick. And I'm going in a third time, and again I'm moving that branch around so that each time I stamp it, the branch is in a different location. And that kind of gives it a natural flowing look that looks like it's going from far away branches to close-up branches. And now I'm going in with my WOW embossing pad because I'm going to get ready to emboss this with that color combination that I made earlier in my video. And the WOW embossing pad, if you're not familiar with it, is the sticky embossing pad that will allow the embossing powder to adhere to it. And this is, to me, that is the best inky embossing pad you'll find on the market today. Now I'm adding that combination, and because I don't have much in this jar, because I did create my own custom embossing powder, I have to do it in more frequent steps because I don't have a lot in there. I'm really happy with how this looks. I've been getting into the monochromatic colors lately, and I really love the monochromatic color I've got going on here, all the shades of green. So now I put my heat tool on high to heat the embossing powder. So you can use it on low if you want to heat, ink, or you want to heat some embossing powders that are ultra high and you want to be careful that the powder doesn't fly off the page. But you can also put it on a high setting if you just want to do a quick heat embossing of your regular powders. And in this case, because the sparkles are mixed with the powder, they will dry when you heat set them. See? Look how gorgeous that looks. You've got that little added sparkle to my embossing powder. So now that this is ready, I'm going to work on my background. Now, remember earlier in my video when I showed you how the first step, or the first way to use your sparkles, which is to apply them directly to two-sided tape, that's what I'm doing here around the edges of my card base, because I want a little tiny sparkle of color to peek out over the edge of my card panel. So I'm basically using both ways to use the sparkles. Now you're going to see me go in there with, I believe it's black onyx. I'm removing the protective coating, and then I'm going to go over it with the black sparkles and create a little border, shiny border. And this will stay in place. It will not come off. It's amazing how well these stay in place. And now you're going to see that I have my card finished. And you can see the little touch of sparkly black around the background. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned some tips and tricks on adding shine and using sparkles. You can find the description of everything I've used in the description box below. Thank you.